Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to Technology Innovation Hub. So it's going to be one of the most wanted news that we are going to hear. That is, Technology Innovation Hub is going to launch the cloud portal. So it's a surprising news. Yes, so we are going to start the cloud portal. Now it's the launch of the cloud portal. So I think we have been enjoying several videos from other portals like Oracle portal and DevOps portal. And so now we are going to launch cloud portal. Fine. So let me share the screen. Okay. So right away, let's start the presentation. And we know about cloud portal, cloud computing. So on the cloud portal, we are going to discuss about the world of cloud computing. That is what. So it's been, these days, all of you must have built. It's a must, right? It has become an inevitable factor that you will have to build competencies on cloud. As resources you have been building, you already have cloud competencies, but since the technology is continuously innovation taking place, and nowadays due to this pandemic, so most of the things are going to be remote, and it has become most of the things are, has already become remote, and the digital transformation is skyrocketing and is going very high. So therefore, to make these things possible, to a reality, to make all of these to happen, we need cloud computing definitely. So that is what it is a must. So you need to build competencies on certifications, especially solutioning as per the current requirements. Yeah, so applicability, just certifying won't be enough. You need to really hands-on, and you should be able to derive the solutions, enterprise grade solutions. Then only you will be a total professional on cloud computing. So without further ado, let's start. Now, cloud computing, we are going to explore on. So these are the topics that we are going to cover actually. So it's going to be very informative explanations going to take place. So this is kind of agenda that we are going to do. The essence of cloud computing. Of course, this one now, most of you will have these fundamentals. You know, even at the school, in the primary, the learning, even in schools, they have IT subjects, and in the primary education as well. Now these things are being taught. So therefore, fundamentals is not a big challenge, but then again, there are certain things that you need to explore on the basics as well. So that's why under essence, we are going to talk about the deployment models, service models, and further. So that is what the first thing is, that the very basics. So we're going to start from there. And thereafter, we are jumping into necessity of business moving to cloud computing. So, as a business, why you should move to cloud computing? First of all, the C levels, they have to be justified. Their vision, organization vision has to be aligned with cloud computing, and they should drive their mission towards that. So as to why we should move to cloud computing. So nowadays, sometimes it may be inevitable that not going to cloud computing. But then again, there comes the challenges like confidential data and a lot of things. Of course, we can talk the pros and cons. I think the next topic is that. Right? So right after this, we are talking about the positives and negatives. So the flow goes accordingly. Because as I said earlier, somebody can say we have high secure data, we can't move to cloud, but who can say the on-premise is the most secured? Now we can argue cloud is much secured than on-premise. But then again, somebody can say, okay, we are data is not in our storage, it is on remote place. Okay, so these are the pros and cons. So let's discuss those things, those arguments. Let's discuss here on this topic, positives and negatives. And after that, we have the financial analysis. Of course, yes, because everybody has to make a decision at the end of the day if you are going to migrate to cloud. So how we are going to plan? Because initially you might see the organization leadership might see the cost is going high in, let's say if you are planning for 5 years migration, let's say to if your migration strategy is spreading across 5 years, initial 1 to 2 years you may see your cloud cost is going high, but down the line after third year you will see it's gradually coming down, because right sizing, right instances, optimizations, with all, you will be definitely going to reduce the cost. So in long term, you are going to save your financial, you are going to benefit and you are going to save. So let's discuss those things. And that is financial analysis, detailed analysis will be done. And state of the industry exactly. So what is the current state of the industry? I mean, we know the cloud giants are there. AWS is leading at the moment with revenue-wise. We will see the cloud wars and the statistics given by them. Of course, Azure is catching up, and say it's not only about the revenue. At the end of the day, we need to understand who is most user friendly, client friendly, who is engineering driven, who is sales driven, likewise. So let's discuss those things. Yes, service comparison of giant. Yeah, this is another very important thing. So we know everybody offers services, the storage as service, database as service, security as service, lot of services are there. But at the end of the day, we need to have a comparative understanding. Now, for example, if AWS is telling, okay, we are giving serverless, Lambda, we are offering Lambda. Now, under Google, what is they offering? And Azure, what is they offering? So when Azure says compute, what Google is telling. So likewise, so the comparative analysis has to be done. So in detail, we'll be doing a great comparison analysis with hyperlinks provided to each and every service offered here. And so that is that. In that, we'll be covering that. And top cloud technologies, yes. Among the all cloud offerings, what are the top technologies? For example, these days, this containerization is much more popular with, let's say, Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is offered by all of the cloud vendors, most top, I mean. For example, AWS, they have their own Kubernetes. EKS, Azure, they have AKS, they are on Kubernetes flavor as a managed service. Oracle, OKE, they have. So likewise. So that is because the reason is it's one of the top technologies, demanded technologies currently. And other things are also the art of technology. So let's discuss those things, what are multi-cloud. That's another technology. So let's discuss those things here. Top technologies, and comes the trends. Yes, what are the trends in 2021? And later we'll be doing a revision for 2022, but at the moment, since we are in 2021, so what are the trends? So what have been the trends? So likewise, and what will be the future? We'll be discussing not only 2022, 2023 and future. The things are presented, statistical analysis is given about the trends. Okay, so then example applications here is all about use cases. At the end of the day, we need to understand what are the use cases in the industry. For example, in different business domains. In healthcare sector, what are the applications of cloud computing? In banking sector, what are the applications of cloud computing? In apparel sector, airline industry, what are the applications? And again, what are the software as a service being offered in terms of analytics, in terms of predictive analytics, in terms of AI and ML? So what are the applications? Likewise. So we'll discuss several use cases with regard to this example applications. And we have state of cloud expertise, but that's very true, because we need to understand as of now, as of latest, what is the stage, where AWS stands as their in terms of number of certified people in the globe, what is the stand, and where Google stands in terms of number of certified people, the expertise. And Azure, Oracle, Alibaba, OpenShift, where they stand. So likewise, these are giants, top 5, top 10. So we need to get an understanding now. For example, everybody knows that AWS certified people are high, but Azure has become the most desired cloud, desired to be certified. So that's a challenge. So let's try to understand those things here. And yeah, so career opportunities. What are the career opportunities? How the salaries are being paid? There are different job roles in the industry. So what suits for me as a beginner? In technology innovation hub, we cover right from the university entrance and even before that, right from the school age to the top level in the industry. We go for beginners, we go for mid-senior, we go for more senior levels. So we are explaining here about the career opportunities. If you are having 2 years of experience, what will be your career opportunity? If you are having 3 years of experience, about 5 years, about 10 years, what will be? Because we have cloud engineer from solution architect to senior solution architect to and a lot of things in cloud computing, career opportunities. Skills to develop. So what is skills you need to develop in more? What are the industry demands? As per the demand, how do you develop your skills? So likewise, analysis will be done in great detail and the skills to be developed. And here actually we'll be talking about the certifications. These 3 topics will go together. When it comes to certification, everybody offers vendor-based certifications. Each vendor, AWS, they have their own set of certifications, and Azure, Google, Oracle, they have their own. But what about vendor neutral certifications? Because for example, as a beginner, if you just stick into one of these cloud vendors, and if you just certify on their platform, that means you become specific to that vendor. You are aware of all the terminologies in that cloud platform, but if you try to work in another cloud platform, you might find a little bit of difficulties. That's why these vendor neutral certificates are coming. Vendor independent certifications. So when you do a vendor independent certification, what they do, first they cover generic stuff. That means common for all cloud vendors. Across all cloud vendors, what are the common terminologies? So that will put a very good foundation for you. Then you can just cover up the deltas. Deltas means, okay, if it is Google, these are the gap. This is the gap I have to cover. If it is Azure, this is the gap I have to cover. So there are different approaches like that. So let's talk about those things. When the dependent certifications, and the categories of certifications depending on the industry, job role, salary scale. So likewise, everything will be discussed on under these 3 topics, certifications and all. Yeah, so events and conferences, exactly, because each of these vendors, they have their annual events. They have annual conferences, annual get-togethers. Now, say due to the pandemic, or most of these things are online now. So very easily you can go there, because you can register on their annual conferences. AWS, Azure, Oracle Open Day, Azure, they have their own, and AWS, they have their own conference. So you can go and register. It's free, and listen to the keynotes. Yeah, that's the very first thing. Even though you may not find exact allocate time to listen the whole thing, but you can just listen to the keynotes of the key resources, key peoples. CEOs, and that is enough. If you can spend 2 to 3 hours on the keynotes, you will get to know the direction. Of course, if you can listen to the whole, I think that is much better for your competency. Then you know most of the technology directions that they are going to offer, because these events, they will tell what is the direction, at least for the next year, next 2 years, their vision they are declaring. So therefore, it is very important to get that idea, events and conferences. So we'll be discussing that in this topic. Fine. Yeah, so I think that's the introduction we have. And so this is kind of agenda. So this is the way this introduction to cloud computing, or the industry analysis for whole cloud computing, is organized. So we'll be going through each and every topic in very much detail. So let's continue to the explanation. Right. So cloud computing. We have what is this? Right at the start, we have lift and shift to application, save time and money. But I think if you have involved in some cloud migration, you know what does it mean. Right? This is one of the famous sentences. Maybe the last sentence that we are telling before starting a cloud migration. The last sentence we are telling before starting cloud migration. What is that? Okay, lift and shift your application, save time and money. That's what. So cloud at the moment, the application is on-premise. Yeah, lift it and shift it to the cloud. But in the meantime, yes, we need to save time and money because there is one of the key objectives why we are moving to cloud, right? To save time and money, right? And to meet the demand in targets, right? Meet the demand from the customers or clients. Okay, so then we have this one NIST definition. You know what is NIST? It's National Institutes of Standards and National Institute of Standards and Technology. Let's continue. So I have included another not a definition kind of thing from the industry. So other than the NIST one from the industry, this is from Azure. Yeah, I have put it the reference as Azure. What is cloud computing? Simply put, cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including server, storage, database, networking, software analytics, and intelligence over internet, the cloud, to offer fast innovation, flexible resources, and economics of scale. You typically pay only for cloud service you use, helping you lower your operating cost. Yeah, run your infrastructure more efficiently and scale as your business needs. There's a well explained. No long details are there, well explained. So in summary, what you can do now, normally when you run, think about the history, right? So you run a data center, no? Like if you think about a bank, right? Think about a telco organization. They should have a data center. What the data center is simple. We say DC, right? In short form, we say DC. DC is nothing much set of hardware servers, right? You have racks, maybe IBM servers, maybe Exadata boxes, maybe whatever, right? Some Solaris, Unix, AI, Linux, whatever boxes. So when you have the tape storage and those things, storage servers are there, and maybe SAN, NFS, right? So storage. So instead of server, that's the data center is. So that is the on-premise method. On-premise is that is the old method. Even though I say old method, still a lot of organizations are there which are not moved to cloud, pending to move to cloud. They have their own data centers on-premise, maintaining by themselves, right? So that is a traditional method. So when cloud arrived, so what happens? Gradually, the data from these data centers was moved up. When I say up, that's what means move to cloud. Now, this cloud doors are nothing much set of servers which are not in your premises, in a remote premise. That's what's going to happen. That's what really it means. In the remote premise, but you don't see it physically, but you get the virtual access over the internet. That's right. So it very clearly says over the internet, the cloud. That's what it means. So anyways, there are data centers. Other now, for example, AWS, they have their huge data centers, their own data centers. So otherwise, they are going to where they are going to store data. So if you create let's say if you are using a service from AWS, let's say relational data service, you are going to use a MySQL with RDS, like relational data services. That means you go to AWS start, you are going to create a database. And that's a MySQL database. And over their service called RDS. So you are going to save that database, put some data. So it's going to save some, so you are accessing over the internet because you have to do a login, you have to go to the RDS service and create relational data, MySQL database likewise. So then you are going to save. So this saving means you are storing data. So where is going to store? It's going to store in somewhere in server. So that server is in AWS data center, not in our data center. So remote. That's why. So that's why it's making available over the cloud. So what they do as cloud service provider. So AWS is a cloud service provider. And Azure is another cloud service provider. Google is another service provider. Oracle is another service provider. Alibaba, another service provider. CSPs, cloud service providers. So these service providers offer their infrastructure. Different categories are there. I'm just telling only infrastructure. They are servers as services. They offer their servers as services over the internet. So that's what they do. Very, very basically. Let's get into more details later. So that service can be a database. As I said, RDS is one reason. It can be a networking service, VPC, virtual likewise. Then it can be a software, right? Office 365 from Azure, software as a service, SaaS, can be analytics, TensorFlow from Google Analytics. So intelligence, right? AI and ML, machine learning, storage, right? Likewise. So these are all services given by cloud service providers available over the internet, right? Logically for us from their physical data center. So that's what it simply means. Simple term, that's what it means, right? But so therefore, and I mean, we don't have capital expenditure. That's why it says helping you to lower operational cost. Now it's like this. If you maintain a data center, you have to spend the capital expenditure. No? That means you have to plan, right? For next 5 years, I am going to buy these servers. I am going to maintain these servers for the next 5 years. After 5 years only, I am going to have my hardware refresh cycle. So the 5 years, I am spending my budget. I am planning my budget. That's what known as capital expenditure. But when you use cloud, there is nothing called capital expenditure. You are going to have an operational expenditure, because you are not going to do a major expenditure, but what you are going to do, you are going to utilize their hardware as services. So as you use them, you pay. That's why it's an operational cost for you. It's not a capital expenditure. So this is what is known as a very famous word, the pay as you go model. So you pay only for the usage. That's what. Now this has been very advanced now. It is the function. We have event-driven architecture, function as a service. We'll talk those things later. So and serverless architecture, those things have arrived now. So that's what you pay only for what you are using. So that's why you don't have capital expenditure, but you have operational expenditure. This is what they are telling, moving from capex to opex. So that's just to explain what the contents of these things. So it's fine. You will get it little by little. We are going to present a lot of practical scenarios with these explanations in via this channel. This is just the very first video, so don't try to grab everything, but just get an idea, right? Especially the beginners, but people who are in the practical world, they know what I mean, right? Okay. Now again, if you go back to the NIST definition, so you see this deployment, they are also talking now here in my slide, I have put in this way, the deployment models, public and hybrid and private. There's another thing called community cloud, right? So if you go back to deployment models, so let's get back to our NIST definition. So I think I have the detail of the PDF, right? This is the same thing, the NIST PDF. You can download it from their site, right? So because the link tells only this much, right? You can download it, the detailed one, right? So, right, you can get it, download the paper. So once you download it, you will have this little bit detail wise, right? So in that, if you go down further, so you see the cloud definition and the detail of it, right? So they are defining it here. The definition is here. After that, they are talking about the 5 essential characteristics. So that's here. 5 essential characteristics are here. You can see on-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, right, and measured service. So let's keep it for the time and let's not get into more details about this theory. Once you do it practically and application of these things, then you will get it in detail at once, right? Easily, rather than just trying to explain one by one now, right? So let's leave it for time being. But since I'm explaining this service models, you can see actually before the service models, the deployment models. Now they also talking about the 4 deployment models. So here we have the deployment models. I have 3: public, private, hybrid. So they are talking about 4 models: private, community, public, hybrid. So the community model also there, where I haven't included. That's okay, right? So public is the most common one, where anyone has access. So any data is available there. Anyone's data is available in public, right? Of course, the privacy is there, but there's no dedication reservation for your data, right? Then the private is your own space. You can reserve a space for them in a separate network, dedicated network only for you. Again, it's not in your on-premise, in their data center, but it's reserved for you. It's a dedicated area, private cloud, right? Hybrid is mix of these two, private and public. The other one is a community one. Community cloud is like set of organizations get together and they form a specific area in the cloud. That's what community cloud is. That's okay. So those are just theoretically leave it as it is, but just get the idea. But practically, when you do these things, you will understand really what this means: public, private, and hybrid and all, right? So, for example, whenever you go to AWS cloud, EC2 cloud, Google cloud, you are in your public cloud by default. That's what it's going to be. If you just spin up a EC2 instance, that is in public cloud, right? But private means it's not like that. You need to have a separate and dedicated network created, and separate VPN is there. You have to pay separately. You have to reserve that instance for you, right? IP addresses and all things dedicated for you, right? That's the private one. Hybrid is mix of these things. You have certain things maybe on private, maybe on-premise as well, right? And some set of data on the public cloud. Some set of instances, servers are on the public cloud. So it's a mix of those things. So likewise. Okay, so that's what the deployment they are talking about. And in NIST, again, they are talking about the service models as well. You can see software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure service. So same thing, I think we have the definitions, right? And we have it on our presentation as well. So you can see this. The service models, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, right? So that's what the same thing is available. The three service models, the main three service models. We have things other than this like database as a service, desktop as a service. There are a lot of other things, right? So, but time now we have disaster recovery as one of the latest additions. So leave it for the time is. So the major models are this, right? The foundation of it, the fundamentals, right? So if you take a look at this, you can see traditional IT. So traditional IT means the on-premise one, your data center. That's where you used to be before moving to cloud. Traditional IT. Right? So in that, everything you manage. You manage means your data center. I mean, you have the storage administrator, data center administrator, and there are system administrators. Likewise, those resources are going to manage these things. What they are going to manage. From network into the storage to the servers to the virtualization, OSs, patches, updates, storage maintenance, and capacity planning, everything they are going to manage. Runtime, data application, performance, backup and recovery, database creation, all the things they are going to manage. The relevant roles are there, DBS are there, OS admins are there, storage admins are there. They are going to manage. This is a typical traditional data center. But when you move little bit to cloud, you can see in infrastructure service, because from a cloud provider, you can select what you are going to take it from them. Are you going to take infrastructure as a service? Are you going to take platform as a service? Because previously I explained, they're going to offer everything as a service for you. From their data center remotely, virtually you're going to access as a service. Now, in this case, infrastructure service means these things you are going to manage. That means your application, data, runtime, middle layer, that is still your baby. You are going to manage that. But these parts are going to manage by cloud service provider, CSP. Cloud vendor is going to manage even the operating system, networking, storage, the underlying server infrastructure. That's why infrastructure as service. Right? So their part is the latter part, the white part, the blue part is we are going to still manage. And when it's come to platform as a service, and we are giving them more, and we are keeping a little portion, only the data part and the front-end applications only. Because we have taken the entire platform, we have given the entire platform for them, the cloud service provider. So delivered as a service, so entire thing they are going to deliver as a service, including the runtime in the middle layer as well, OS, storage, everything. The last part is what? The whole component, cloud service provider is going to manage and deliver for you. So that is known as the software as a service. So when it comes to software as a service, the very famous examples are there, Dropbox, Office 365, one of the very famous, those things, Microsoft Office package, and online Office 365. So that's the software as a service. You are not going to do anything, you just have to go to login, go to the website, type Office 365, do your login and work. That's it. You are not worried about the hardware, And we are not worried about the virtualization, server, storage, networking, nothing. Just type in and get in and do your work. That's all. So that is software as a service. The whole thing is outsourced. Whole thing is managed by the cloud service provider. So that's the difference between these models, service models, the three service models. And you can see one thing in the bottom, serverless computing. Overlapping with PaaS, serverless computing focus on building an app functionality based on event-driven architecture, only using the resources when required function triggers. The cloud provider handles the setup, capacity planning, and server management for you. So why I have included this one? Because this is just a little bit of overlapping for PaaS, understood. Platform as a service. Because whenever you say serverless computing, it's actually this PaaS is already included there. So that's why, because in AWS, if you take Lambda, if you run Lambda functions, they will charge based on the function. I mean, when the Lambda function triggers, then only the charging will take place. I mean, you don't, there is nothing called EC2 instance is there. I mean, there's nothing like that. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. Only for the event, only for the function, they will charge for you. That is known as the serverless computing. Serverless really means the hardware portion management is taken away from you 100%. It is managed by cloud vendor. That's why something is similar to this one PaaS, but it's more effective than PaaS. So let's understand that one more detail later about serverless computing. For the time being, just leave it. But why I have given it, because it is just overlapping with PaaS. That's why going it is closer to PaaS, so serverless computing. So next thing is we need to go for why business are moving to cloud. But I think we'll stop here and I'll come up with the second session for you. As I said, we are not going to have lengthy sessions. So let's relax and try to digest the things, understand the things, right? So for the time being, I'm going to stop here. I'll come up with the second session and we'll meet up soon on the second session. All right. Hope you enjoy the session. If you like it, you can subscribe. Okay. Have a great time. Right. Bye-bye.